The following program presents principles designed to promote good health and is not intended to take the place of personalized professional care. The opinions and ideas expressed are those of the speaker. Viewers are encouraged to draw their own conclusions about the information presented.
Skeletal problems cause more absenteeism from work than any other disorder. Therefore, skeletal problems deserve more attention than we usually give to them. In this program, we'll be talking about skeletal disorders and what you can do for them.
Welcome to Help Yourself to Health with Dr. Agatha Thrash of Uchee Pines Institute. And now, here's your host, Dr. Thrash.
We can't see the human skeleton, but it is certainly very important. We don't usually think about the fact that it represents a masterpiece of creative genius. That is, we don't think about it until it gives us some problem. Now, we'd like to talk with you about some various things that you can do in order to keep the body in good health, keep the muscle strong, keep the skeleton in perfect condition. And so we'd like to show you a test that you can do that will help you to know whether your muscles are in good condition or not. And Cheryl Shears and Danique Blackburn are going to show you this very simple test. Here they are, Cheryl and Danique, and they're going to show you a general test for muscle strength. It exhibits general muscle strength. So, Cheryl, tell us what you're going to do.
Okay, what you can do, and usually you will do this against a wall, and we'll just do this here in the middle of the room, but you would stand and place a ruler up against the wall and have the person, the subject that's doing the test, to face the wall with the toes to the wall and heels flat on the floor, and reach up as high as you can reach. Then have the person jump as high as they can jump and note the measurement of how high they can jump. Okay, go. That was about 20 inches, and that was excellent.
Very good. What represents normality in men and women on this?
With a man, if he can do 14 inches, that's poor. If he can do 21 inches, that's very good. 28 inches is excellent.
Good.
With a woman, 10 inches is poor, 14 inches is good, and 18 inches is excellent.
Very good. So
She was above excellent.
Danique is better than excellent. So this can help one to know what one's general muscle strength is. It isn't a perfect test, but of course it is quite a good general test. Now, another test that you can do is to determine whether you are correct so far as your height and weight ratio are concerned. And I'd like just to show you on the board some figures that can help you to know if you are proper so far as the weight is concerned. If you're a woman, so we'll just put this symbol here. If you're a woman and you're 5 feet tall, you get 100 pounds for your first 5 feet. Then for every inch thereafter, for each inch, you get 5 pounds. Now if you're a man, and let's show this, and you are 5 feet tall, you get 100 pounds for that. And then for every inch thereafter, depending on how muscular you are, you will get from 6 to 8 pounds. So if a woman is 5 feet tall and 5 feet 1 inch, she should weigh 105 pounds. If she's 5'8", she could weigh 140 pounds, do you see? And so this can help you this can give you another kind of test that can make it so that you can evaluate how your own health is going. Now, some people have a skeletal problem caused by overweight or caused by improper use of the knees. And I'd like for Cheryl Shears to give you a demonstration that can help you to know what you can do if you have knee pain. It doesn't help 100% of the time, but it can be very helpful in knee pain. So, show us how to take good care of the knees.
Okay. If you suffer from knee pain, you will want to try this simple remedy. It may help. It involves the position of the knees when standing, when walking, when sitting, when climbing stairs. You want to keep your knees straight forward and not turn them outward to the outside. I'd like to show you a demonstration of proper sitting, the way to get up, and the improper way of getting up. When you sit down in a chair, you want to sit with your knees and your feet straight forward and not in a position like this where your knees and your feet are spread out to the side. You want to keep them straight forward, and when you get up, you want to rise up with your knees straight forward and not out to the sides. When you're climbing stairs, you want to also keep your knees and your feet straight forward and not climb stairs like with your knees out in this direction. If the steps are narrow and you have a difficult time of keeping your feet straight forward, turn your body a little bit so that your knees are still straight forward and climb in a sideways position. We had a patient at UT Pines who came to our institute there with such severe knee pain that she could not climb the stairs in her 2-story house. She tried this simple treatment and her pain was almost completely relieved. So if you have knee pain, you want to give this a try. It may help you.
Yes, I remember that patient and how much difficulty she had in doing her housework and how relieved and grateful she was just from this very simple thing. Mm-hmm. There are some very serious problems of the back and the spine, but there are also some problems that are not so very serious. There are some very sophisticated types of tests that we do with very elaborate equipment to reveal what may be going on with the spine, but some things that you can do yourself in your own home can help you to make a diagnosis of what your spine problem may be. And I'm going to ask Cheryl to let me use her back as an illustration of one thing that you can do. This is the compression on the individual spines of the vertebra. And it's very simple. You just find a spine and press on it. Put a good little bit of pressure on it, then find another spine and press on that, and another spine and press on that. Now for the person who has had a compression fracture in the vertebrae, such as by a forceful seating or falling and a compression of the vertebra with fracturing, if you press on the vertebra like this, the person will have pain. And you can tell then that the back pain they have is from a compression fracture and not from something that is nearby. Now, if people have compression fractures, they need to be especially careful about good posture. In fact, there is almost no skeletal disease that we know that doesn't do much better when the person has good posture. And Danique Blackburn has some very interesting things to say about posture, and I'd like for her to tell you now some of these things concerning posture, because it's so important for us to know every aspect of a good posture, the head, the shoulders, back, and knees and feet, and she's going to show that to us right now. Danique?
You know, in our society today, posture isn't something that is so much focused on as being important in education. But you know, there's a statement from a favorite author of mine that says, among the first things to be aimed at should be a correct position, both in sitting and in standing. God made man upright, and He desires him to possess not only the physical, but the mental and moral benefit, the grace and dignity and self-possession, the courage and self-reliance which an erect bearing so greatly tends to promote. Let the teacher give instruction on this point by example and by precept. Show what a correct position is and insist that it shall be maintained. From this statement, I find that posture has a lot to do with our physical well-being. Now the question arises, what is proper posture? Now, proper posture can be defined when you're standing upright. First of all, beginning with the head, you will want to make sure that your cheekbones and your collarbone is aligned. Sometimes you may have to look in the mirror or ask a friend to help you to see if your cheekbone and your collarbone are aligned, and that will give you correct posture for your head and your neck. Second of all, you will want to make sure that your knees are not in a locked position. Make sure that they're a little bit relaxed, and this will have your knees and your hips also in a correct position. As far as your shoulders, to get your shoulders in the correct position, they should be back and down. And the way to do this is to bring your arms back like this. And this will give you the correct posture for your shoulders to be back and down. Now for your feet should be pretty much together. They can be slightly apart, but make sure that you're not leaning on them towards the inside, but leaning on them more towards the outside. And if you follow these simple steps, you can be assured of having correct posture.
That sounds very simple and very good. And I think that we can, by following these very simple instructions, we can have the most excellent posture. A person who maintains this kind of posture should be able to stand for hours without fatigue or without undue fatigue. Now, flat feet represents a problem that some people are born with. It tends to be augmented by being overweight or by improper fitting shoes. And there is an exercise that a person can do that can help with flat feet. Not that it's going to cure it, but it may relieve some of the pain that a person has with flat feet. As Danique said, proper posture for the feet is that we stand more on the outsides with the feet flat down, but being certain that the weight is borne on the outsides of the feet and not on the feet if they're in a pronated position, such as this. So if the posture is correct, that can help flat feet. But for some people, they don't use good posture, and so they need to do some exercises. And one thing is to stand on the sides of the feet and rock back and forth with the weight carried on the sides of the feet. Then to stand on tiptoe and walk around in your house, especially if this is on a carpeted floor. This can also be very helpful to strengthen the arches and make the muscles of the feet nicer. Then to take the toes and grasp a pencil. This kind of exercise done repeatedly, or every time you're seated and you can find a pen or a pencil to grasp with the toes. You can just do this kind of thing until the exercise comes easy. Then another nice thing for flat feet is to roll the foot over a bottle, and that can soothe and massage a tired foot or a foot that is flat in some way. Other things that involve the spine are arthritis. There is a form of arthritis that makes the person so that they cannot move unless they move the entire body, such as in this way. And that, of course, gives them a stiffness of the spine and makes it so that they are not able to bend the spine at all. The joints become fixed in that direction. When this disease is early in its course, hot baths can be helpful to relieve the pain and the tension that the person has, and a series of hot baths can so relax the person that they can relieve a lot of pain in this way. Scoliosis is a curvature of the spine that we can see just by taking a look at the spine. If it isn't straight up and down, all the spines of the vertebra, one on top of the other, then they have a disease called scoliosis. This can be diagnosed nicely in childhood, and I have asked Danique to show the simple way that we can look for scoliosis in a child. It's a very simple thing to do. One just bends over, and then we take a look at the scapula. And so if you will step here now and just show the position that we use when you bend over. So just bend over and put your hands down. The person goes all the way down, and then you can see that the scapula rise up. And in this way, that can help you to make the diagnosis early in life with a person who has scoliosis. Now there is another problem with the spine. It's called lordosis, and for this the person simply has an exaggeration of the curve in the back. Lordosis is often associated with some pain in the low back. Thank you, Danique. Now, another problem that we have with the skeleton is that of osteoporosis. And osteoporosis in the elderly can be quite disabling. In fact, it can even cause death. It can be so severe. It can confine a person to a wheelchair, can cause such a squeezing of the abdominal organs that they don't function well. And so it can be quite disabling. There are some things, even in the elderly, that can increase bone mass. Here is a study done by the Japanese that show that continuous exercise done throughout the person's life can have an aborting effect on the development of severe osteoporosis, to the point that one would have collapsed vertebrae and broken bones. What they found was this, and I'll just read a portion of the abstract. It says, weight-bearing exercise should be recommended not only to inhibit loss of bone mass, but also to increase muscle strength in the elderly, which definitely lead to prevention of falls and decrease in the incidence of new fractures. Well, that's important information, since the elderly often don't enjoy exercising much. If they can be encouraged in continuous exercises, and purposeful labor out of doors is one of the most important of these, because it has a sort of coercive feature to it. The person who has to exercise out of doors to keep the garden up, look out at the garden and you see that it isn't in good condition, and so that makes the person want to get out and get the gardening done. Now, another study that was done concerning osteoporosis was also done by the Japanese. This one showed that regular physical exercise has a positive effect on the maintenance of bone mineral in postmenopausal women. Now, postmenopausal women are that group of people most likely to get disabling type of osteoporosis. Osteoporosis occurs 90% of the time in women, only 10% of the time in men. One of those things causing men to get osteoporosis is the taking of steroids. That is one of the famous causes for osteoporosis. Postmenopausal women can have a protective effect by localized skeletal muscle exercises. Since the wrists and the hips are among those most frequently fractured bones by women who have osteoporosis, then doing exercises that involve the wrists and those that involve a lot of walking can be important for postmenopausal women. This study was done in the United States and published in the off-print requests, and it says age-adjusted female hip fracture incidence has been noted to be higher in industrialized countries than in non-industrialized countries. It was decided by the researchers that they would see if they could investigate why this is. And it was found that as the use of animal products in the diet go up, such things as meat, milk, eggs, and cheese, that so does osteoporosis in a population group. And so it's an important thing that we can know about the diet having to do with osteoporosis. A study that was published in the Journal of Gerontology, done at Stanford University in California, showed that there are many advantages that the elderly have in doing exercises. So we should encourage more exercising among the elderly. It keeps them from falling. It encourages their having good coordination. It reduces muscle tremor. In fact, one study showed that people who had rather serious muscle tremor in old age, that if they would simply do a finger or a hand squeezing exercise, such as this, that it would reduce the amount of finger tremor and hand tremor that these people have. But certainly with osteoporosis, with the syndrome of falling that the elderly have, to do anything that would increase the likelihood that they could avoid a fall would certainly be a most important thing. Now, with the use of the hands a lot in the doing of various types of industrial tasks, such as a lot of typing or a lot of computer work, people can get a tennis elbow. And there are some very good exercises and massages that can be done for tennis elbow, and these can be obtained usually from very good places such as your local library. Sprained ankle is a big affliction that many people, young people in particular, are prone to have, since they do running and jumping and otherwise are prone to do a lot of very active and stress-producing activities with the feet, and they're likely to turn the ankles one way or other, and that can cause a rather serious problem with the ankle. There are some very simple things that can be done, such as strapping the ankle or using alternating hot and cold foot baths for the whole foot and the ankle. Hot foot baths, even in the very first part of a sprained ankle, can do a lot of good. We used to think that hot foot baths during the acute phase of a sprained ankle would cause more bleeding into the ankle. But in recent years, we have learned that plunging the foot into hot water actually constricts blood vessels if the water is hot enough, and that decreases the likelihood that the person will have more bleeding into the tissues. And often the application of heat to a sprained ankle is very comforting. It reduces the pain and can help the person a lot. The classical way for a foot bath with a sprained ankle is in cold water or ice water, and this may be used. It is a treatment for the sprained ankle, but it is also a very comforting and soothing little exercise as well. When the spine is injured in some way, or if the spine has some disease in it, the person may get pain in some other part of the body than the spine. Of course, the spine may give pain, but the person may have a pain in the spine or an affliction in the spine and get a pain on the front side of the body. Now, the way that works is that there are nerves that come out from the spine and encircle the body and have their distribution on the outside of the body in the skin. These are the skin rami of the spinal nerves. Interestingly enough, often the lesion in the spine is high up in the spine, but the pain that the person feels is low in the abdomen. The reason for that is what we call the dermatomes. When the nerve comes out from the spine and encircles the body, it goes downward so that the affliction in the spine may be many inches above where the pain is experienced in the person. So that pelvic pain can be experienced by an individual who has a lesion way up high in the back. Now, muscle cramps are another serious affliction that cause a lot of discomfort and a disorder that some people suffer with quite a great deal. It interferes with sleep in many people. One of the things that a person can do for foot cramps is, interestingly enough, a pinch of the upper lip. So the upper lip is pinched rather forcefully. It needs to be pinched enough so that you actually feel pain in the upper lip. Apparently, what happens is what we call the gate theory. The gate theory also works with pain. If we make pain on the skin, as by the application of a liniment, which may be hot or it may be somewhat icy, like with camphor, then we send impulses from this area, from the skin, up through the spinal nerves, up through what is believed to be a gate at the lower part of the brain, and to get impulses from the skin, then we'll crowd the gate so that pain, maybe from the same area or even from a different area, will not be able to get through the gate, and consequently the person will not be able to experience pain. Now, if you do some kind of maneuver like pinching the upper lip, we can see then how it might help a cramp. It will help a cramp anywhere in the body. Since many people get leg cramps and foot cramps at night when they're sleeping, one of the reasons we recognize for this kind of problem is that the feet become chilled. Now, the person may not sense that the feet are chilled. Nevertheless, they are having a problem with chilled feet, and the brain recognizes it. And so it causes the muscles in the feet or the legs to tighten so that the person begins to get a cramp. And during sleep, one can't regulate this, or the brain can't regulate just how much tone the muscle has on it. And so by just keeping your legs warm, you can avoid many cramps of the feet.